5 years ago, now it's 200,000.
Okay, we will call this March 19th meeting of the Salina Planning Commission to order. Daisy, can you tell me if we've posted this notice in confirmation with the Kansas Open Meeting Act?
I'm going to do it one more time.
Okay.
I can
Well,
confirm.
Margie, then.
I can confirm that the packet was posted and the required notice had been provided.
Thank you. Dean?
I'm going to call roll. Commissioner Farber?
Here.
Commissioner Waters?
Here.
Mr. Rogers?
Here.
Commissioner Paget? Commissioner Sydow?
Here.
Commissioner Van Covern?
Here.
Commissioner Alt?
Here.
Chair Mike Sell.
Here.
So we have a quorum present for today's meeting, and 7 out of our 8 appointed members, and we've provided notice of today's meeting, and so we can now proceed with today's business.
Great. Okay, hope you've all had a chance to read the minutes from the last meeting, and if you have, and there are no changes, I would take a motion to approve or amend as necessary.
I move we approve the minutes from last meeting.
Second. Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes of the March 5th, 2024 meeting. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None being heard, motion carries. Dean, new business?
Under new business, we have a public hearing item for you today. It's a special use permit application for an open air or farmer's market, and it is in the downtown area, and the applicant is Salina Downtown Incorporated, and the location of the proposed market is the City Lights stage and parking lot, which is located at the southwest corner of Santa Fe and Ash Street, and Mr. Hers will be giving you an overview of the proposed market.
Thank you, Mr. Andrew. The proposed special use permit for the Salina Downtown Inc.'s Farmers Market, as Mr. Andrew mentioned, is at the southwest corner of Ash and North Santa Fe. It's the property that we call or title the City Light Stage property because it's where the new city stage was relocated to from Campbell Plaza here a few years back. So a brief history of special use permits and what they are. In 1989, the City of Salina adopted an ordinance for temporary use permits, which included things like flea markets, roadside stands, and open air markets and farmers markets. And what happened is over time, there were a number of unintended consequences and spillover effects on neighboring properties that were having negative impacts on the surrounding areas. And so what the Planning Commission and City Commission did is adopt an ordinance for a special use permit that would require any new open air market to apply for a permit that would have public notification to all the properties within 200 feet of the subject property and would require a public hearing. And so that's why we're here today, is to review a special use permit. Your role in this situation is to look at the proposed special use permit, the open air market, and determine whether or not approving this market would have any negative spillover effects on neighboring properties and whether or not it's a conducive location for what's being proposed. So that's the reason you're here to review. There is a second component to this that I'll just kind of inform you of that's administrative, but in addition to the special use permit process, there is also what we call a special event permit process. And the history of that is in 2016, the Planning Commission and City Commission explored how to administer uses on public parking lots. And in 2017, an alternate use public parking lots ordinance was adopted that allowed us to administer special events on public parking lots, which this would be one of. In 2022, a new ordinance was adopted that supersedes that ordinance, that basically lines out how a special event on a public parking lot could be reviewed and approved administratively. So the applicant is in a two-stage process where they've applied for a special use permit, which requires the review and approval of this board. And in addition to that, there is a special event permit, which is administrative and isn't tied to any of your decisions, but is tied to our typical special event review that gets reviewed by all the different agencies within the city of Salina. And so the special event or special use permit that's being proposed here today is a farmer's market. That proposed farmer's market would have proposed 45 different vendors. There is a plan that's been submitted by the applicant. 7 of the vendors would have a truck space or a location where they could back into next to the alley so that their vending stalls would have access to trucks. The applicant has secured approval from the Saline County City Building Authority, which owns the parking lot directly to the west of the City Light Stage property. So if you look at an aerial photo, you'll notice that there are 2 different parking lots side by side. They both appear public. However, the City Light Stage property is public, and the one to the west is owned and maintained by the Building Authority, which is the entity that also owns and maintains the building that we're in right now. And so SDI has reached out to them and received their approval. They've also received approval from the Sunflower Bank property across the street to use their parking. The Sunflower Bank parking lot has 23 spaces that could be used by the market, and after the 7 stalls for vendors are taken up, there's 35 spaces that could be used in the Building Authority's parking lot as well. The market is proposed to be a Saturday morning market, and that Saturday morning market would run from 7:30 in the morning till 12 p.m. and they're looking at a May through October market. So the end of spring into the fall and all through the summer would be the time frame in which the market is proposing to operate. The market will focus on being a producer market, which means that they will give priority to vendors who grow and produce products that they sell. However, to enhance the market experience and service of customers, they're also going to allow a mixture of what they call grow it, raise it, make it, and bake it vendors. So these would be vendors that aren't purely selling products that they produce, but produce or items that they have a hand in creating themselves. The market will also feature ready-eat food vendors and concession stands or concession booths and food trucks. There is a food truck designated location directly north of the Building Authority's parking lot. So if you were to go out and walk down Ash Street at the corner of 7th and Ash, you'll see that there is a marked out food vendor parking stall. That is a location in which a food vendor could reserve and use to sell food to the public. To enrich the festive atmosphere of the market will also include entertainers, artists, and musical performers. Some of them may have amplified sound and some of them may not. It'll be a case-by-case basis. In your packet, you will note that there is a farm and market vendor rules and regulations packet, and that is the rules and regulations that the market is proposing and what they're using to administer their operations of the market. When we look at the specifics of the market and what is being planned, there's a prescribed set of criteria that we typically look at, and so we'll look at those. The first is sanitation and utilities. The market has secured the permission of Ad Astra, who is a few doors down to the south, to allow them to have their market vendors as well as patrons use their restrooms. In addition, they're proposing a porta potty in the striped out, hashed out area that you see on the plan here for people that are running their vending booths as well as customers. No water is needed for this particular market, and there is some electricity currently on site, primarily from the stage area, which is going to be the northeast piece of the property, and then the 67401 Plaza, which is the parklet just to the south that is on the north side of the Groove building. Security, the site will have volunteers for the market as well as market management on site for every vending market on every Saturday morning. There is an info booth as well as facts and answers to questions booth as you enter the market right off of Santa Fe. So they will have management on site, and if any direct assistance is needed, they can contact the appropriate people, including emergency services in an emergency medical event. The applicant does have the potential to have live music, whether that be throughout the market or on the stage. And there may be musicians or other entertainers and performers that may come into the market and have amplified sound. In those situations, it would be upon the applicant to apply for what we call an amplified sound permit. So that would be a permit that would be applied for that specific weekend. And that is something that can be processed administratively through our office in conjunction with the city clerk's office. And the manager on the site will monitor all of the sound that is there, so that if there is sound that is unexpected, such as buskers or other things that becomes unwieldy, they would be the ones to help control and manage that sound. Parking, we've touched upon. There is parking directly to the west in the Building Authority parking lot, as well as to the east in the Sunflower Bank parking lot. There's 35 spaces in the east lot and 23 spaces on the west, or 23 in the east and 35 on the west. There's also a number of on-street parking stalls in that area, both along Santa Fe and the surrounding properties. And there's also public parking lots in the downtown area. So I'll just pull up an aerial photo just to get context of the surrounding area. So you do have a number of public parking lots to the south on 7th Street, as well as on both the east and west sides of 7th Street. You have the chamber parking lot to the north, which is probably primarily vacant on most Saturday mornings as well. For fire and emergency medical services, 911 will be used as necessary by the management team on site in order to make sure that the property remains clean and maintained. It is in the agreement that each of the vendors sign that they are to keep their vending booth clean, and at the end of each market day, make sure that everything is cleaned up. If there are issues with vendors cleaning up after themselves, they are subject to be fined by the market. And so the management team of the market will help manage that piece of the operations, and they ensure that the market will be cleaned up every day before everybody leaves. So in looking at this, it is the hope of SDI, who is the applicant, that the weekly event will help drive and bring people in the downtown area in a unique festive atmosphere while providing additional health food options. The location has available parking and in fair abundance with the surrounding area. There shouldn't be any negative impacts to the neighboring properties. And the operational plan that is being proposed appears to be well thought out and organized. So we do have a few alternatives that the Planning Commission has with this. One, they could approve the special use permit application for the outdoor market with any conditions that they find appropriate. They could postpone consideration if you feel additional information is needed. You could deny the application if you feel the required findings of fact cannot be made and that there are negative impacts or potential negative impacts on the neighboring properties. Staff does have a number of findings that we have included in your packet on page 11. And we also have a number of proposed conditions on page 12 that if the Planning Commission finds the proposed open air market to be compatible with the surrounding properties and we wish to approve it, those would be the conditions we would recommend. And with that, we'll take any questions you might have on the farmers market that's being proposed.
Questions of staff? Dustin, I had one. Let's say that we approve this and it goes fine for the first year, is there any way to make this administrative, or would they have to come back before the board next year?
That's a very good question. And so when the special use permit process was set up in 2003, the way it works is the initial review requires public notification and a public hearing, which is what we're doing here today. And then as long as all of the conditions that you deem to be appropriate for the special use permit are maintained, then it can be reviewed and renewed annually through a temporary use permit that would be administrative and would not have to come back to this board. So what that means is if you approve this proposed use with the conditions that are listed, and those conditions are met over the next year, and SDI decides to renew that market, that farmer's market, they can submit a temporary use permit application to us. We would review it administratively and approve it administratively, and they would not have to come back before this board as long as nothing changes.
Very good. Thank you. Any questions?
I have one. Do we have two other farmers markets? I know we have one at Waters, and I think there's one on East Cloud or so is what I've heard. I'm not sure.
So we have, over the last several years, there have been multiple what we call roadside stands as well as farmers markets. Farmers markets that have historically, within the last few years, been operating in Salina. You have the one that was at Waters that they haven't renewed their farmers market for that yet. There's also one on East Crawford, which I think you noted, and then there's also one at the Emmanuel Forest Square Church on East Cloud, just east of Dillon's there on Cloud. So there's three farmers markets, and then there's a handful of roadside stands as well. So you have the gentleman who does the peaches at the southeast corner of Cloud and Ohio that you'll see over the summer, kind of late summer, early fall. And then there's also a few like what we call open air markets that aren't really farmers markets, but they sell flowers and things like that. So you'll see Stutzman's, which is at the corner of Cloud and 9th Street, and you'll also see Call Valley Greenhouses, which is also at the other opposite corner on Cloud and 9th Street. So we do have a number of open air markets of different varieties, from roadside stands to farmers markets to flowers and plants and things like that.
I wasn't aware of the one on East Crawford. Where is that?
It is, I believe it's a Wednesday night market, and it is kind of just to the west of Elmore Center.
Oh.
Yeah.
It's in front of the Smoky Hill Cooperative. It's been kind of an on and off kind of thing. The person that was running it left the community, and so that one has been renewed off and on, but it hasn't been as consistent and long running as some of the others that Dustin mentioned.
And is the one at Waters, hasn't been renewed yet, or do you think it will be?
It hasn't been renewed yet, and we are doubtful that it will, just because it's getting to be that time of year, and they have not been able to renew it. Yeah.
We need a place to sell homemade pie, so are we gonna, okay. Robin Schultz. Good.
Does staff feel comfortable with the number of parking spaces we have for vendors and for customers?
Yeah, one of the advantages of the proposed market here is that you do have a lot of surrounding parking, because you have a number of public parking lots around the area, and you have on-street parking that's unique to the downtown area that you don't have in other parts of the community. That does help. And then having the permission of the building authority to use their parking lot, and then also Sunflower Bank to use their parking lot, there is quite a bit of parking in the area.
I guess to piggyback onto that, do we know how many businesses in this area here are open from 7:30 to 12 on Saturdays? Or I'm talking about in terms of parking. Are we taking away from their parking spots? Or maybe that's a better question for.
Well, the parking lot to the west on 7th Street, that's actually owned by the city county building authority, and that is supposed to be limited to city and county employees, and so it's not used at all on weekends. And the property to the north is a public parking lot. Certainly the Groove is not open during the morning hours, and the Sunflower Banks operations on Saturday is mostly the drive-through, so there are not a lot of vehicles used there. So if you look at the surrounding area on almost every side of this market, including even farther south down the alley to the other 7th Street lot, there's probably more available parking in proximity to this at any location you could have downtown.
And then over west of the field house,
Yeah.
that lot over there.
And the chamber office area.
Yeah.
Yeah. So if you think about, there are times, and it's closed, but there are times in early May and times where there simply isn't any parking spaces available at Stutzman's. And unlike this situation, there's no parking lots around Stutzman's where you can go and park. You could go over to Kraft Manor or something, but the advantage of this is that you can, if you can park close, great, and if you can't park close, there's the next lot over that's available. So if you look at the public parking situation here, it's well situated here as any location you could choose.
One of the conditions underneath the staff recommendations on page 12 is talking about musical performances. Can you give me a definition or outline for me what amplified sound would be considered?
Yeah, so amplified sound would be either instruments, horns, or things like that are designed to amplify sound, or even just having some sort of microphone speaker system that electronically amplifies sound. So anything that amplifies sound would be something that would be subject to that.
There's a lot of performers that play just acoustical music with no amplification, and then there are performers that would perform at the stage or elsewhere that would bring large amplification equipment. And the reason that's there is that the city has an amplified sound ordinance, and if you have amplified sound performances, you need an amplified sound permit. But if you just have guitarists playing acoustic guitar or somebody playing a saxophone and there's no amplification equipment, then that would be considered non-amplified sound.
So just a iPod with a speaker on your stand, would that be amplified sound?
Most likely no.
I didn't see anything in the outline for the open air market about sound or music, and I know some booths like to have that music playing in the background. And so.
Yeah, if there's background music at the booth, that would not be considered amplified sound. If there's somebody that is a live band performing on the stage during the market and they have amplification equipment on the stage, that would be considered amplified sound.
Thank you.
Dustin, of the farmers markets you mentioned earlier, which ones of those operate at the same time this one does?
I
The one
don't
that
think
you-
currently any of them do.
The one that was at Waters
Okay.
operated on Saturday mornings. And so they're looking, and we're trying to help them find alternative location to that location, because they've kind of outgrown some things in the eye of the new owners over there. And so that group still exists, but they're trying to find a suitable location. But historically, they have operated on Saturday mornings, and actually they originated as a downtown market because that market moved from 7th and Iron across from the museum over to Waters. But originally it was set up downtown on Saturday mornings at 7th and Iron.
Thank you.
Any further questions of staff? Commissioner Sydow, did you have a question? No. Thank you. Could we hear from the applicant? Your name and address for the record.
Good afternoon. My name's Leslie Bishop. I'm the Executive Director of Salina Downtown. Thank you for allowing us to be here today. We are really excited about this Farm and Art Market for various reasons. One being, it's a great location. It has room to grow. It also addresses the food desert that is in North Salina. It also is on the City Go bus route, so for those that don't have private transportation, they can get to our market very easily. Also, we have a tremendous amount of dog walkers in the area, not only with loft dwelling in downtown, but just close in the neighborhood. A lot of people walk their dogs in downtown Salina. And this will be it will be very pet friendly, this market. And the other thing, we also believe we're going to have a kids area that Tammy Jarvis with Ad Astra, she's on our committee. She's going to organize and run. It's going to be right. I like the word parklet, the 67401 area. It'll be free for children to go and learn about what it takes to grow a crop of corn or plant their own little herb garden. We're going to decorate pumpkins at Halloween, and it'll be free. So it won't matter the socioeconomic background of these families. They can come, and it will all be available to the children. A safe place for kids to be while adults shop our market. We also are opening it up to the area not-for-profits in our community. So for example, Friends of the River is going to have a table. They all have to provide their own, but just a table to talk about the mission of Friends of the River. The Salina Symphony will be there. The YMCA is going to talk about their fall programs. They're going to be with us in September. Love Chloe. I've opened it up, and we have a really nice group of not-for-profits who can be at the Farm and Art Market. Salina Arts and Humanities will be there for the first 2 Saturdays leading up to festival. They will have some music on the 1st of June. It's going to be a loop of festival music that has played previously. And we typically don't allow anyone else to sell, but we will allow them to sell their wristbands for the festival on those 2 Saturdays. The Rolling Hill Zoo will be there. And then we also are partnering with the Salina Family Health Mobile Unit. Janelle and her great group are coming, and they are going to set up, and they will do free blood pressure checks and a mobile medical unit if there's someone who needs some medical attention that maybe they can't get to, they don't have a doctor. The other thing that we are excited about, we have talked with the Ohio Street Farm and Art Market, or Farmers Market, because of the circumstances that they're under. We have many of their vendors at our market, Robin Schultz being one. Jessica Knudsen, who has C&J Crafty Farmers? C&K Crafty she's our market manager. So she's real familiar with the market industry, if you will. And then we have a great group of downtown business owners who have been a part of this vision, if you will, since last year. And it's been a goal of mine since I've been working with SDI, and a goal of our office in the last 2 years to open this. I just feel like it has such potential to really bring a community atmosphere downtown while also enhancing the foot traffic and then people staying and lingering longer. And so when our stores open downtown, I mean, that's our main focus is to get people in our downtown businesses, but they open at 10. And hopefully then that brings people, further down the street on Santa Fe. And the city has been helping us get this all worked out so it comes to you properly. And as I mentioned, the porta potty was a new addition. That porta potty will be there permanently during the season, so May through October, but we will lock it. It'll be locked on every day except Saturday market day, and it will be on the cleaning route, if you will, with Salina Septic. They'll come and clean it Monday or Tuesday, whatever day it falls on. So, but it'll always be there. We found that it was less expensive for us if it stayed there, but I assure you it will be locked. And then we also in the area have 4 Salina downtown security cameras that are at great, have a great view of the parking lot. And we always leave it like we found it, and I think our events that we've had at that location for various First Fridays and special concerts, you would never know we were there the next day.
I was interested, you had a very well-written set of rules and a contract there. Did you guys do that yourself, or did you borrow that, or?
We borrowed and added some, but or worked it so that it worked with some of the things that we wanted to see. We will have a no tolerance of being bullies, and then no smoking within the market area. So we did kind of but we pretty much kind of combined our research and made it into and we have 20 vendors. I don't know if I mentioned that already. We have 20 already signed up, paid for, and accepted. And we just today met with our office with a company called MarketWorks. And so we're going to have a completely separate farmers market software program so we can keep track of foot traffic and sales. So at the end of the season, we can come back and report to the city how many visitors we had and what the farmers made. And, we believe in supporting locals. So we all have to go to Dillon's, but when you go to the produce department at Dillon's, only 10 cents goes to the farmer. The 90 cents goes back to the corporation. So we all know how important it is to support local and also allow from some local artisans to set up. But we're quite thrilled with how it's coming together and the enthusiasm we've been hearing from the community. We have a Facebook page, so you need to follow us.
Any questions of the applicant?
Have you spoken with other vendors just south of there? Have you gotten any feedback on whether they're in support of this or not?
Other vendors.
Or other business owners?
Yeah, they're, it's one of we're looking at this as we're all going to learn together. I have a great board of directors who are very supportive of this market. All of them, with the exception of two, are business owners. But the other two are very familiar with downtown. It's going to be probably a wait and see. I just see it being a win-win, though. I believe it's going to be like many of our events that we hold in the evening, like our wine walk or cocoa crawl. You wouldn't believe how many people will come to those events and say, I've never been into Flipping Fabulous before. And I think that is going to translate very nicely. But it is, I can't answer that question with 100% certainty in terms of what it will. But they're not opposed to it. They are excited to see it. And again, it just creates an atmosphere that Salina downtown is a destination for all.
And increased foot traffic, I like
Yes.
that too.
Mhm.
Yeah. That's good. Thank you.
And we do have pet waste stations, so that, the little puppy poo bags. Can you say that here?
It's in the
so-
record now.
And as I mentioned, the three of us, April Rickman and Diane Gebhardt, we all work together. As much as we sit there and say we won't be there every Saturday, we will definitely be there a lot of the time, and we trust Jessica Knutson wholeheartedly with the times that we're not there. But we also are very in tune to the fact that this is a reflection on our office, Salina Downtown Incorporated, and the community and the city. And but I just can't believe it's going to be anything but wonderful. And nobody paid me to say that. And as Dustin said, it's going to be a robust market.
Put that in the record too.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Any other questions of the applicant? And do we have anybody in the room or online that would care to address this application?
We do not have anyone online or in the room. Staff would note that as Ms. Bishop was speaking, we did think of an 8th condition that we probably should have added, and it relates to the porta potty. And so Salina, the 8th condition would be that Salina Downtown Inc. is responsible for the maintenance of the porta potty on the site from May to October. So if it's going to be there 7 days a week, just that they keep an eye on that and make sure that it doesn't get messed with.
And just to back up a little bit, you have seen the 7 conditions, and then
Yes.
this 8th condition you're
We're very
aware of.
comfortable.
Okay.
Mhm.
Very good.
And in terms of the amplified sound, right now, we don't have very many bands that want to be there at 7:30 in the morning. So I would imagine, if anything, it's going to be radios within the vendor booths, I will mention on June 8th, we will have a live remote with 93.7 Hannah Holt. And that's going to be kind of our ribbon cutting grand opening. So we'll obviously apply for the special event permit for that. But most often, it'll probably be radio music, just for Mr. Farber's information.
Thank you. Great, thank you.
We just wanted to clarify that point, because if you look at condition number 6 and saying the site will be cleaned and restored to its original condition following the conclusion of the farmer's market, that does not include removal of the porta potties. The porta potties will stay and not be removed at the end of each event. So we wanted to make sure the Planning Commission understood that. So,
Very good. And you said that Tammy at Ad Astra has allowed use of her bathrooms as well.
Yes, she's allowed the use of her restrooms for the vendors, and then patrons and customers can use the porta potty. And it's an easy access through that back alley.
Right.
And Tammy, when speaking back to what businesses would be open, Ad Astra, but it'll be a benefit for her.
Oh, yeah.
You have to have coffee with a piece of pie.
Yeah. Very good. Okay. We have nobody online, nobody in the audience. We'll bring it back to the commission for discussion and action.
I'd make a motion.
I'd entertain it.
I'd move that we approve application SUP 24-1 filed by the Salina Downtown Inc. for a special use permit for an open-air farmer's market with the 8 conditions outlined on page 12, 7 plus the one that you added.
Second.
Moved and seconded to approve application SUP 24-1. All those in favor say aye.
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 Opposed? None being heard, motion carries.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good luck. Anxious to see
We'll
it.
see you on May 18th.
Yeah, you probably will. Okay.
next item is technically a public hearing item, but it's not an action item, and it's something that in the state Planning Zoning Enabling Act, it considers the Planning Commission to be the custodian of the city's comprehensive plan, and it just states that at least once each year, the Planning Commission shall review or reconsider the plan or any part thereof and may propose amendments, extensions, or additions to the same. So this is just an opportunity for us to review the comprehensive plan format. There is, and it's not intended to force you to read through every single thing. Part of it is for our own record keeping, but you can see from the time that the plan was adopted through most recently your last or one of your most recent meetings, that there have been 26 different times where the Planning Commission has looked at something and made an amendment to the original plan. And some of the things were that some of the map drawings that were in the original adopted plan were static maps and static drawings, and they couldn't really be updated as things occurred or changed. So we took their plan map and did an in-house future land use map that we can update. We worked with, coordinated with KDOT and internally and adopted a future or a functional street classification map, and which can be updated as things changed. We did a bicycle master plan and trail map, and obviously as different segments of trail get added into the city, that is something that needs to be updated periodically. And so we've just summarized some of the future land use map considerations that were done, and then another part of this is just showing some of the plan implementation activities, and some of those related to bicycling and trails, some of them related to sidewalks. There was a period of time where the Planning Commission was having joint meetings with the City Commission to look at a particular topic, such as housing or those related things. And so the main other piece of this that we've attached is just to show you some of the different maps that are associated with the plan. And so on way at the back on pages 18 and 19, we kind of talked about some of the things that planning commissioners had expressed an interest in or interest in following up on. And so There's a lot of discussion in the plan about Broadway being overzoned and maybe being downzoned, and the city did hire a consultant to look and develop a plan for the Broadway corridor between Ash and Crawford, and we've had a couple study sessions with the Planning Commission to discuss Broadway. One thing that has occurred there, and some of it was a result of that plan, is a lot of the Broadway medians have been removed from the center of that street. We have continued to look at and try to get input on our xeriscaping plant list to include plants that are beneficial to wildlife as well as conserving water. We've had study sessions on that. We've brought in people from Kansas State University, Kansas State Extension, the Dick Arboretum in Heston. We've tried to bring people in to get gain knowledge and input about plants that are appropriate for Salina and our precipitation conditions. We've examined the floodplain areas, and we have a map that's attached that talks about areas of change and areas of stability. Our neighborhood revitalization program is an area where if you make improvements to the property, you can apply for and obtain property tax rebates. And so, for instance, the Lee Lofts project that's being undertaken on North Santa Fe at Elm, that is a project that is eligible for property tax rebates. And so the way that works is that the county appraiser sets a before improvement value on a property, and then you complete the project. The county appraiser gives you a new higher value, and you can get a rebate of the increased property taxes back if you make an improvement to those properties in those areas. And so we have had Mr. Stack, our city engineer, has left working with the city, but we'll have a new city engineer on board at some point, and we'd probably want to work with them to provide you with an update to the bicycle trails master plan, just to show and reflect the additional trail segments that have been completed. One of which we're working on is a trail that would run from Ohio Street along the old river channel back behind the YMCA. And then we have the trail that we tried to put together on the east side of Markley Road that leads up towards the Berkeley Family Recreation Area. One of the things we heard periodically and the Planning Commission has discussed when it looks at those subdivisions is that the people in Magnolia Hills Estates there on Markley felt kind of stranded because the only way you could really get out of that subdivision and go anywhere was by vehicle. You couldn't really take a bike or pull a wagon or push strollers or anything. So now with that new hike bike path along Markley Road, you can come out of that subdivision and use the trail and get to the dog park or the recreation area. So it's incremental, but it's growing, and we try to bring that back to this body periodically just to get input on what you see as focus areas or priorities. So again, this is primarily a discussion item, and if there's any particular items that grab commissioners' interest that you would like to follow up on or obtain additional information about, this is an opportunity to do that. So it's kind of a summary of where we started in 2010. I think one of the things I found interesting was I looked at the resolution that was adopted in 2010, and the chair who signed it was Mr. Mike Sell. So
Time ago. We worked a lot on that comprehensive plan.
we did.
A lot
What
of
goes
public
around,
meetings, and
what goes around comes around.
that's
So
right. That's right. And the plan itself has worked, and we've amended that, just like we did last meeting with the water well addition down there. So I think the plan itself works good, and I think the system works good. And you guys are doing a great job of keeping us updated on it, and things like when we talked about the xeriscaping and that coming, more in line with what the landscapers wanted to do. I think that was a good reach out. So, congratulations. Any comments or thoughts on the comprehensive plan? It looks so imposing with all the maps and stuff.
Yeah, and that's the comprehensive plan, and then we have a separate housing plan that we're trying to follow, and some of the different things going on. So we have areas like the area at the southeast corner of Schilling and Ohio, where the city has been in partnership with that development. And then one that's very difficult to see that's taking shape is the Aeroplanes subdivision that's over off of Centennial Road. And so and then we're working towards breaking ground for the apartments that are to the west of Menards. So a lot of those things they have implications for the comprehensive plan, but also the city's housing plan.
Very good. Do you need any kind of acknowledgement or direction from us other than keep
No,
up the
it's
good
just
work?
an opportunity to say, could we've discussed following up and having a study session on landscaping, which we'll try to do, but if there's any, whether it's floodplain or a specific corridor, or it's, I've always wanted to know more about X, that's your chance to tell us, you'd like to learn more about a particular subject, or have a study session, or have a session devoted solely to the bicycle and trails plan. This is just an opportunity to tell us what you're interested in and what you might want us to follow up on. So,
Any thoughts? Pretty quiet over there on the west end. Well, I think we're in agreement that it's good for now, and we'll let you know if something comes up that we need to address.
yeah, it's probably within the next 2 to 3 years there'll be a process to do a brand new updated plan, because it's time for that, and most plans are only good for about a decade, and then technology changes or things change, and you have to look at it again. So that's likely to happen. But this has served us for 14 years. So
Okay. Public forum. Do we have anybody online, Dustin, that's dying to jump in on this meeting?
We don't have anyone online or anyone in the room, it appears.
Okay.
I think we've told some of you, but not all of you, that the plan is we have no agenda items, and we have no plan to hold the first meeting in April, which I believe is the second.
Okay, very good.
So you will get that Tuesday off.
Well, and I hope Margie not gonna do the opening credits there for posting the meeting doesn't mean that she's leaving us.
No, I've taken a new role as the Deputy Director of Community and Development Services. And so Daisy is our new development coordinator, and we'll be taking on all of the planning boards as well as our building advisory board, clerking all of those.
Awesome. Well, congratulations and welcome, Daisy. On that note, I'd entertain a motion for adjournment.
So moved.
And a second.
I second.
Moved and seconded to adjourn. All those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? None being heard, we are adjourned.